At 5280, we recommend pressure casting for all vacuum socket applications. Pressure casting produces a very intimate fit while allowing the clinician to apply pressure to the load-bearing areas of the mold. Pressure casting will significantly reduce the amount of volumetric reductions during the modification process. Begin by applying the prosthetic liner directly to the patient's residual limb. Apply 3/4 inch adhesive casting dots from Coyote Design over any bony landmarks you wish to identify. Typically, we apply the dots over the anterior distal tibia as well as the fibular head. The adhesive dots will help identify prominent bony anatomy landmarks as well as provide a built-in relief in the cast. Apply Saran wrap over the entire residual limb and liner. The Saran wrap will help protect the liner during the casting process. Apply a Compresso Grip stockinette over the Saran wrap and residual limb. The Compresso Grip will adhere to the Saran wrap, preventing rotational issues between the sock and limb. At this point, feel free to take any necessary measurements or draw any reference lines on the stockinette required for your mold. We will begin the casting process by creating a capture of the distal 2 inches of the residual limb. For this process, we will utilize 2-inch fiberglass. It is very important that we do not apply any compression to the end of the residual limb. Begin by unrolling the fiberglass and simply lay it on the residual limb. We do not want to elongate or distort the distal tissue shape. Use a zigzag pattern to provide a total contact, very light capture of the distal 2 inches of the residual limb. Allow the fiberglass to set such that the distal cap is completely rigid. This will ensure the distal shape remains intact during the next phase of casting. Use 4-inch fiberglass for the next phase in the casting process. Begin by securing the rigid distal cap with a moderately tight figure-of-8 wrap. Ensure as you're wrapping you do not rotate the distal cap. As you come around the bottom part of your wrap, apply extreme tension to the fiberglass. Wrap distal to proximal as tight as possible. The residual limb should be held in approximately 5 degrees of knee flexion. Do not worry about wrapping your cast too tightly. The residual limb is primarily fluid. The fluid cannot be compressed. There is a direct correlation between how tight you wrap and the amount of reduction modifications you will have to do to your positive model to get the optimal fit. Mold in weight-bearing areas into the cast, loading the medial tibial flare, interosseous groove, and popliteal spaces are common modifications. Your socket should mimic the patient's bony anatomy and have a clear triangular shape. Be sure to identify the patellar tendon bar. If your patient has redundant tissue on the end of the residual limb, pull the tissue upward such that it is in line with the tibia in the sagittal plane. Once the cast is hardened, utilize a straight edge and draw a reference line from the ASIS through the center of the patella. This reference line will allow you to orientate the cast in the proper adduction when you bond the SmartPuck dummy. Before removing your negative impression, have the patient stand in the parallel bars. Verify your alignment line and the load line with a laser.